Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on not one, but two Stern Dracula pinball machines. This one we've got pretty much done. We still need to do some cosmetics. And this one, we did a previous video where we worked through a lot of the electronics, and we've got it booting up now. It's in the middle of a game right now. Why, thank you, thing. But it's to the point where we need to clean up the playfield. So this one's kind of rough, got a little wear, especially at the top. So I figured I would show you what it looks like before we start. So a little bit of flipper drag on the left flipper there. The right slingshot is missing plastic. The left slingshot plastic is cracked in half. And the middle of the playfield looks pretty good. The pop bumper plastics, I don't know if we're going to get new ones for that or just leave the old ones. The plastic over here above the collect bonus hole is missing. I think we've got two of those that are broken, so we're going to get creative with that. You'll love that. Well, some of you will love it. Some of you don't love anything. The spinner is the wrong spinner. I believe that's the spinner from Ted Nugent, the Nugent pinball, which was the one that Stern made just before Dracula. And then once you get up here, you've got some pretty heavy wear around this. So we're going to have to fix that up. On the previous one, we had some flipper drag up here in a weird spot, but this one doesn't have that much of it. But all of this needs redone. But no big deal. Ooh, I got a little bit of a snake I got to repaint there. That'll be fun. And then this one, the drop targets, it has like the wrong drop targets. But we've got the extra drop targets that we took out of the other one. So we'll clean those up and install them. And this one, oh yeah, we got this too. Pretty heavy wear there. So I get to repaint a bat. That'll be cool. This one, Shane is going to, our buddy Shane owns both of these. He's going to sell this one. He's going to keep that one. So we got to get it nice and presentable for its new home. So that's what we're starting with. I'll have Joe come in and clean it all up, and then we'll start repainting it. No big deal. It'll look a lot better once it has the replacement plastics on it too. so this is how it looks after Joe cleaned it up. The wax will clean it further, but we've got to touch up the paint. So, like I said, the spot down here we won't really touch up. We're just going to clear that a little bit. I'll probably touch up the black there like we did on the other one. If you didn't see us do that one, we've already been through this once. I'm not trying to make it look brand new. I'm not capable of that, but I can make it look a lot better. I think maybe we do this bat first. The situation you run into is, you know, the colors you need here, you also need up here. So for instance, this bat, obviously we need black, but we also need like a cream color there on his wing. Now I don't know where we're going to figure out what that's supposed to look like. You know, these things are kind of rare. You don't see them around too often. So finding like exactly what that bat's wing is supposed to look like is going to be the toughest part. But I'll get by somehow. So we need black. We need a little bit of blue. We need cream, orange, and yellow, which is also known as pretty much every color on the playfield. If you've got all those, you're kind of done. So up here, we're going to need the same orange, the same yellow. We don't really need the cream, maybe a little bit there. The black and the blue. And over here is the same yellow, and we'll need a little bit of red on the snake. So it's all like, you know, you mix up the yellow and do it. Then you mix up the red and you do it in the different spots. It's very simple, you know. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color in the edges of the things to kind of make it a coloring book. So basically I'm just trying to make it where I can tell where one color stops and another color starts and make it like a paint by numbers thing. So I've got these little Posky, is it Posky? I think it's Posky, Uni Posky black ink pens that are acrylic paint. We use just acrylic paint. So I'm going to get those and I'll draw some of this in. Okay, so I think that was a pretty good match on the, of course the black's a perfect match. Once you clear it, you won't be able to tell one black from another. Now black colors are actually different, but your eye just can't really discern it that much, right? So if you've got like a black ink pen, it's going to look just like the black that's on the playfield. Okay, so the cream though, I had to paint back in. So you saw what I did. A bunch of this has been added, right? So like all that has been added. So whenever it's just a little area like that, though, it's real easy to match it. But what I use is light buttermilk, seemed pretty close. Now that cream color, it was originally white, but it's just all faded, right? So you can see it's too light, right? So I did that, and then I took some camel and mixed in with it. Camel seems like that color, but too dark, right? So I mixed the two together. And then whenever I was done, it looked real clean. And it looked a little bit too pink. So I actually added some green. I used a light color green because I wanted to keep it light. I didn't want it to get real dark, right? So it's hard to see it, but this playfield is green. There's like a green pale over all of it. And it kind of looks yellow, but it's whenever it comes to mixing the paint, for whatever reason, green just works better. So I put green in it. It was still a little bit too pink. Put a little more green, and it warped it over to where we wanted it to be. Now I also touched up around that insert there. You can see there too where I did it. It's almost perfect match. Also there at the end. Now this is under a post, so it doesn't really matter. And then also just part of that yellow, it's supposed to be white, the cream underneath that pop bumper. So like this has been repainted. So it's a pretty close match, but it wasn't until I added the green. So if you're trying to do this and you can't figure out why it ain't quite right, put some green in it. It has greened over time. Okay, folks, this is how it turned out. We haven't messed with the apron yet. And we haven't messed with the light bulbs yet, so most of those aren't working. However, the playfield itself looks much better. We ordered new pop bumper caps that look good, and Joey made a plastic for that. We had some extra plastic, so he used Dracula's face from up there. It looks pretty good, I think. We need to replace all the drop targets, of course. But I think our little touch up there came out pretty good. What do you think? Now, you can't get on me about those little stripes being crooked whenever he did the same thing over here, the artist, right? So yeah, it's a little crooked, but I don't think anybody would ever know. Like, look how it is over here. Right? I don't know, folks. I think most people would not know that's been repainted. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so the bat's wing there, of course, we repainted. Looks pretty good. I think it came out decent. Can't really tell. And then these. We did something there, didn't we? I remember we blacked in the circles. I'm never good at drawing circles. That's the hardest part for me. I'm getting better at it, though. We did a little bit right there. That cream, that matched pretty good. And then this yellow has been repainted, which you can tell now that I pointed out. But I think it looks pretty good, personally. I mean, you know, I think our buddy Shane's going to be very happy with that. I think it really helped it. Okay, oh, we inked in some of the black lines here, too. But wax makes it all look better. So the wax did really good. Okay, so we've still got some playfield stuff to do. We're working through it. I mean, this thing just needs a ton of work. But we need to work on the displays. The displays are tripping a little bit. The scrolling you're seeing is just the camera, but they're flickering too. So like the 3 that's turned into a 1, they're all doing that. Okay, and then the bottom middle one there, the 0 that's just disappearing, and then the bottom right one doesn't work at all. So I think we'll start working with those. Now the reason they're flickering usually is because of a bad connection on the MPU. That's why they're all doing it. Unfortunately, this one, see that last 0 there, how the top piece is missing? That's bad. When it does that, you got a break, and you got something broke inside the glass. So it's hard to fix that. But most of this you can fix with solder. So this one here is an interesting one. I've never seen one like this. Look how it's burnt. There's an 8, a dash, an 8, blank, and then a dash. So maybe we mess with that one first. So I'm going to clean the connector that the everything plugs into on the top left of the MPU board, and I'm going to pull this display out so that we can resolder the connector on it and see if that gets that one working or if that one is toast. Alright, so now that I have it out of the machine, you can kind of tell that it's toast if you look at the bottom of the glass. It's broke. It's broke, people. See the crack? I don't know what that is. Can't see that. You can see that's shattered glass. See all that? It's broke, people. Once they're broke, there's no going back. So there's no fixing that without putting a new glass on it, which they don't make anymore. So you have to put a new old stock one on it, which, you know, isn't worth the trouble. They're too expensive. So that one's not going to come back. So this is one of the ones that was in the first machine that we replaced them with LED displays because they only had 2 in that one, so we didn't have enough to make a whole set. So let's see what the solder looks like on these. These are your main problem that you run into is broken solder joints. Oh yeah, look at that first one there. Ooh, lordy. Boy, that's perfectly bad. The second one ain't great. The rest of them are probably still alright, although I'll resolder them as well. And then the 2 on the end at the other end are bad too. That last one's definitely bad. But that second one from the end, it looks pretty bad too. Okay, so simply resoldering those will do a lot to fix this back up. Alright, and then there are some resistors that burn up. R1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. But on the sterns, you don't have as much of a problem. So R1, R3, R5, R7, R9, and R11. So you got to test those, and then you might have transistors bad and stuff too, but we're going to clean it up, resolder this, and I'll bet you that'll get it working just fine. Alright, so that one did seem to come up and look really good. These are the actual Stern displays too. This brown board is actually the ones that Stern used. The green board ones are Bally's, but they're interchangeable. So let's see if this one's the same way. This one looks like it's in a little bit better shape, but that first one still has a broken solder joint. Yeah, this one's actually in better shape than the other one. So we'll resolder that. The connector itself is very clean, looks nice. And then the resistors that burn up, R1, R3, R5, R7, R9, R11, they all look pretty good. A little dust here. But yeah, this board looks cleaner than the other one. So I'll dust it off a little bit, resolder that connector, and then we'll plug it in and see how this one works. Basically, so they're all up now, but that one with the little segment missing, that's not going to be fixable. You could use it and just have a segment missing on the last digit, which is always going to be a 0 anyway. But, you know, it'd be better if they all worked. And since we've got both of the games here, these are actually Shane's displays because they were in the other machine. So let me fix this one and I'll swap it for that one with the screwed up segment if this one works. And then we'll resolder the other ones too, just to make sure everything's cool. Alright folks, so we have got a lot of the playfield done, but I'm working through some of the other cosmetic stuff. So for instance, we cleaned up the drop targets, put in the correct ones. Same thing over here. And I'm going through all just the little minor stuff, you know, changing out all the light bulbs and everything. And one of the things that I noticed when we were painting it is this flipper drag here. Check out the flipper drag. See how it's heavier towards the end? And it's in kind of a weird spot. The flipper doesn't even go all the way up. Well, I guess it does. There's flipper drag there, so you got to fix that. Right now, if you look at the other side, there is not flipper drag. It stays above the playfield. But this one hits the playfield. So there's a lot of reasons it does that. A lot of times it's the bushing, but sometimes it's this. If you look really close at the flipper mech, see how it's not flat on the playfield? So it's hanging on the playfield like this, which is making the flipper, which goes through here, the shaft, and then is parallel on the playfield. Well, if this is hanging, it's making the flipper hang too, because it goes through this bushing. that's mounted to the plate. And it's just a little bit, but it's enough that it's making it hang because the actual flipper mech is hanging. And so the reason it's hanging is because there's a screw missing. So let's see if we can see it actually in action here. Voila. It's the little things, folks. You gotta look at the little things. Okay, folks, we're getting down to the end of it. So this right one, the number 2 one, it had a coin jam. So I looked, and the reason it had a coin jam is because it had 4 quarters stuck in it. This always amazes me. So the quarter dates are 1969, 1980, 1981, and 1966. So, you know, it doesn't prove anything, but that thing has probably been jammed since like 1981, 1982. But not anymore. It is now unjammed. So I think we're about done on this one. But we still have to figure out what it was that's making that one score extra. So we're gonna look for a screwed up switch. So we'll do that next. But I think this one has turned out pretty good. Although, you know, this is the one that Shane is going to keep. Okay, so if you watched the previous video, one of the previous videos, when we played this, what would happen is this light right here would light up even if the drop target hadn't dropped. Right, now we're in a track mode now, so it's doing all kinds of stuff. And then it would just sit there and it would score over and over and over again, and you'd get all kinds of points going on. And it sounded like something was stuck, like a switch was stuck, and that light kept lighting. Now, if you looked at the switch on that drop target, it wasn't stuck together. I looked at all the switches, none of them were stuck together. So let me show you in the schematics what I was checking out. So this is the switch matrix. They use the same wires to wire up several switches. And so like if this one is on, if this is connected, then this wire is connected to this wire, and it knows that it's that switch because of the two that are connected. And that's just how the switch matrix works. Well, they all have little diodes on them, but if the switch isn't hit, the diode doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So if this is disconnected, it doesn't matter if there's a diode on there or not. If you have a shorted diode, though, what happens is if this diode is shorted, when this hits, it causes the machine to not know that this line and this line are touching because it sends voltage through here, which backfeeds, or voltage through here, which backfeeds to the other ones or something. It screws it all up where it can't tell which switch is hit. So I assumed that was it. So I started looking around, and I can't find a diode anywhere that's messed up. Could be, but I can't find one. They all test fine. I tested every one of them. Okay, so then I was playing it, just trying to see if I could figure out when it does that. Like when does that extra light pop up? And I started seeing smoke. There was smoke coming out from underneath our beautiful Dracula. So the smoke was this beautiful diode here on the flipper end of stroke winding. So basically that diode had shorted and burned up. So I took the diode off. I caught it before it burned up the coil. I took the diode off, put a new diode on it, and now I'm playing the game, and we are not getting strange scoring problems. Why is that? I have no clue. But I've heard people tell me that the reason the diodes are on the flippers is because whenever the magnetic field collapses on the coil, whenever it does its thing, that can actually screw up the board. So I don't know how that's getting into the switch matrix, but yeah. So something on the MPU apparently did not like that. It shouldn't have anything to do with it. A solenoid diode shouldn't have anything to do with the switch matrix stuff. But the same chips ultimately control all of it, so perhaps. So I'm going to keep playing it and just see if it truly is fixed now or if that was just a big coincidence. having these drop targets. Lately, all our drop targets don't reset every time. I still swear it's the new drop targets. You usually don't have a problem with the old ones. Not calling anybody out. Just saying it's something I've noticed. I think I fixed it. I think it was somehow it was the diode on the left flipper. I don't know. And there's no lane change on this. That's a sweet little salsa shot there, where you get you collect the playfield bonus on the bonus on the playfield. You don't have to wait till the end of the ball. Got you, sucker. I got you, sucker. All right, folks, so we are going to do a cool video. That's how I bricked it. We're going to do a cool video for Halloween on these beautiful October themed pinball machines. When I was a kid, I didn't dress up for Halloween much, but I did dress up as Dracula a couple times. Very cool. I also tuned the soundboard. I didn't film any of that, but I actually tuned the soundboard down so that it had more of a lower pitch to the sounds than maybe it originally did, because it just sounds better. That noise you're hearing, the knocker, I've got it set on a poor man's free play. Basically, you win a free game at 10,000 points, which means that you keep getting a free game. Or you get a free game on every game, so you don't run out of credits. I gotta say, it's a pretty fun game. It's got an interesting design. Harry Williams strikes again. If you don't know the Harry Williams deal, the guy that started Williams Pinball. The guy that started Williams Pinball way back in the day was an operator who was operating pinball machines, you know. And I suppose maybe in Chicago, I don't know where. And he began his own company making pinball machines that he designed. This is well before flippers were on pinball machines, so they were much smaller, just older machines. And he would design the themes and the layouts and things like that. And as time went on, he started Williams Pinball, named after himself. And after several years, he hired a gentleman named Sam Stern or Sam Stern bought half the company or something like that. I think Stern was the president of the company or something. Well, anyway, Harry Williams continued, you know, being a major part of pinball, and eventually sold. Harry and Sam sold. They were co-owners by that point. They sold Williams Pinball. Harry did a little bit of design work for Bally and some of the competitors of Williams after that, even though it was his own company, you know, that he had sold. And eventually Sam Stern bought Chicago Coin and went back into business making pinball machines. Sam had been the president of Williams. And so he hired Harry Williams out of retirement as an old man to design some of the games for Stern Electronics around 1977, 78, 79, 80, and this is one of them. So a gentleman in his 70s designed this game, and it was the legendary Harry Williams. The guy designed over 100 games in his lifetime. So by the time he did this one, he kind of knew what he was doing. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie if you haven't yet. My brother has a channel of his own here on YouTube. We work on arcade games, pinball machines, jukeboxes. My brother Donnie works on old buildings, old vehicles, things like that. So I'm over there with him on his channel a lot, and we have a lot of good times. So go check that out. But we'll see you back here in just a couple days with the conclusion of this.